Listen, man, no putty, ever blazing. Let me chant the Emperor Selassie. Whoa, out of fire blaze now. Whoa, out of fire blaze now.
1212 Radio Culture, at a fire blazing. Kwame Patan with Papa Kuti.
Rousey, where did the light turn up?
Where did the light up? Blaze it up.
Papa Kuti, Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishimi ganja.
Yes, as I said, we are ready to have that discussion that we should have had many years ago.
Kuti, Jame haona mishimi.
But better late than never. So we have invited the sharpest minds we could find on the subject in the country right now. We're still waiting for one of our guests to join the conversation, but right now we are going to start with one of them.
Babylon put my door and the rest.
He's no stranger to many Ghanaians. Lots of us know him from his sporting background. Yes, he's a football coach. He also carries many hats and wears long dreadlocks. But right now he's here as the president of the Empire Association of Ghana. And we are going to engage him on the subject of the legalization of marijuana/cannabis. And it's important to make the distinction. Marijuana or cannabis, we'll be learning all of that. This man sent me some material on ganja. Bro, listen, me, I say I know, but sure. And many months later, I'm still reading. Very well researched, very well resourced, very articulate and ready to share his knowledge. Welcome on Groundation, the man we all love to call Nana Ajimai, president of the Empire Association of Ghana. Welcome, Nana, to Radio Culture.
Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon. To all your listeners who are there as well out there in the USA.
Thank you very much, Nana, for making time. I know you are a very busy person, and also there was a bit of a mix-up with the scheduling. I do apologize for that, but you still stuck around and you are ready to talk to us and to share your knowledge. I do appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you too for the opportunity.
Nana, what is the Empire Association of Ghana? I always thought it was the Hemp Association of Ghana. What is it? And tell us, tell us what your association does.
Well, the Empire Association of Ghana is an advocacy body. We advocate for the legalization of cannabis, or as you say, /marijuana. We've been doing so for many years. And basically, we've been working with the Parliamentary Select Committee of the Interior Ministry for some time, looking at the pros and cons of legalization or even decriminalization of cannabis in Ghana. In fact, where we are now, April, next month, the 11th of May, will be 3 years since the president assented to the law, and the law was passed on March the 20th. So the law has been passed 3 years, and the assent that was required from the president of the Republic of Ghana is just 1 month less 3 years as well. So basically, we advocate, we inform people through our weekly journal called Ag News about what is happening across the globe in terms of cannabis legalization, decriminalization, who's been locked up, who's been suspended from participating in athletics and what have you. We look across the globe and we provide a weekly write-up of all that's happening. Of course, we include what is happening in Ghana too, if there's any developments. I think we've written over 700 pages so far. We've got a book, basically, which I've just not put together. So we advocate. I'm also the Chief Executive Officer of Empire Agri Ghana Limited. Now, that's not an advocacy body. That's a business, a registered business here in Ghana, where basically we have earmarked like over 20,000 acres of land, and we have over 250 registered farmer groups who want to take the opportunity and establish the hemp business in Ghana, the hemp industry.
When you say earmarked, though, have you acquired or you just like figured, like marked down? If you say earmarked, acquired, okay.
The vast majority of it we've acquired.
Okay.
There is some we have acquired free of charge, and some at a cost. And we've not finished paying, to be honest with you. But as I was saying, is basically what we wish to do is establish the industry, and I want to make the clear distinction that what was passed by both sides of the House was not the legalization of marijuana. It was the legalization of industrial hemp.
Okay, we'll get into that. Yeah. We'll get into the details. I just wanted to have I wanted our listeners to have a good idea of what your organization does and all of that, and then we'll progressively build a solid conversation, hopefully, that our audience can connect with and see the pros and cons, if any, of legalizing marijuana in Ghana. Is there any wisdom in that at all? The benefits, all of that. We're going to be looking at that. But Nana, you also actually, did my segue for me. The difference between cannabis and marijuana, right? When the news went out that there was some sort of law being considered for the legalization of something, everybody or most people thought it was, ganja is going to be legalized. What is the difference? What's the difference between marijuana and cannabis, or whatever else we call it? What's the difference?
Yeah, the main difference is the THC. That's the tetrahydrocannabidiol. This is a psychoactive compound. This is a psychoactive compound that when you take marijuana or ganja, as you've just described it, in any of its forms, you can smoke it, you can drink it, you can add it in your food, you can make cakes, you can make toffees or sweets or candies and what have you, gummies. When you use the marijuana, the THC in that is psychoactive. And so I wouldn't say, for the purpose of this conversation, I would say mind altering, because I've seen that phrase used before, and it can become quite complex when you discuss about this. But let's say mind altering. Other people say it makes you high. Now, basically, as we know, marijuana is by and large smoked. It's recreational. It's for adult use, and basically, in the industrial hemp, there is no THC content as such. You're looking at 0.3 THC. I think Zimbabwe and Malawi have said that they will cultivate industrial hemp with 1% THC. But basically, if you were to say you are going to smoke industrial hemp.
Okay, I'm happy to announce that. No, I'm sorry. I'm happy to announce that Kex has joined the discussion as well. So if you don't mind, please hold your thought. And let me quickly introduce our second guest for the discussion, President Kex Danpongo. Kex is the chairman of the Advocacy Committee for Rastafari Council Ghana. Welcome to the discussion to Radio Culture and to Groundation. President Kex.
Blessed love.
One love.
Radio Culture.
Give thanks.
Dear beloved Nana Jiman.
Oh, wow. Respect. All right. So Nana was making a quick point. We'll let him, complete that point, and then we'll push forward. Nana, please take it up.
Yeah, so I was saying, because the THC in industrial hemp is minimal, there is no psychoactive content in it whatsoever. If you were to ingest it through smoking, or you cook with it, or you make the cakes or the toffees or the candies or the gummies, there would be no psychoactive impact. So essentially, that's the difference. They both grow differently as well. Industrial hemp can grow to from 12 to 16 feet tall. It's a very thin plant, whereas the marijuana itself grows outwards. It can grow 6 to 8 feet tall, but it mainly grows outward. It buds, and it's the buds that it provides where the THC, the majority of the THC is concentrated, and it's the buds that is used to smoke, etc., etc., etc. So that's the main difference. So what Ghana has approved by law is not marijuana, it's industrial hemp.
Okay.
And the industrial hemp, as the name suggests, it has many, many uses. You can create hempcrete out of it. You can create wood. Everything plastic can be made out of industrial hemp. It does have some medicinal qualities as well because of the CBD that you can get out of the industrial hemp as well. But essentially, the main issue is the level of THC, and that is minimal in industrial hemp. There's nothing psychoactive in that at all. And basically, the vast majority of people do not smoke industrial hemp.
All right.
Come in.
All right. So, President Kex, I want you to join the discussion at this point. Let's take it from the very basic, right? Because now we're talking some heavy information here. Some people would understand it. Others might be like, what are they talking about? With all the THC and the percentages and all of that. Let's start from the very basic. Marijuana.
The law, to me, this law is, the law, I always say the law is not, it is like we wasted time for nothing, because...
Wait, hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean? You mean the law that Nana Jiman just described that the parliament was working on?
Yeah, because industrial hemp is internationally legal already.
That's what I'm saying, Nana. Kex. Hold on, Kex. Let's build a discussion to that point, because there are people who don't even know what we're talking about at all, right? Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about, the law. What law is that? Let's have the discussion to the point where people understand what law we're talking about. So at this point, I'm asking you, Kex, marijuana, what are the uses for it? Why should it even be a consideration? Why should it even be legal in Ghana?
But if they are talking about medicinal, the marijuana is the medicinal aspect of, or is the thing that can treat sicknesses in the cannabis. The THC content in hemp, especially the one they limit to Ghana, because even some chemists then will say that they should have even brought it to at least 1%. But if I choose now to extract THC from hemp, I can still extract the quantity of THC I want. I will only need more hemp. You understand me? That's what the chemist told me. So that's what I learned from a chemist. But what I'm saying is that marijuana is the medicinal. That's the one that have the most medicinal properties.
Okay.
Than,
so Kate,
so
this is why. Hold on a second.
If they add medicinal in the law, which is we are talking about the PNDC. The new Narcotic Control Commission law 1019. That's the one we are talking about.
Okay.
If it indicates, yes, okay, I'll the question.
Okay. So what I'm saying right now, though, is that it looks as if we are getting in the middle of the discussion, right? We are talking about the law. What law is that? A lot of people don't even know what we are talking about. I'm
telling you about the PNDC law.
Well, yes, you said that, but you started off with the medicinal aspect of all of that. Now you're talking about that, but there are also other benefits from the marijuana or the cannabis plant, right? I.e., the rope and all of that. It doesn't always have to be medicinal. The medicinal is just one aspect of it. So I don't even want us to stray into that area. What I was asking is, just give us generally. Let's say you met someone on the street. Let's say my grandmother met you on the street and asked you why cannabis or ganja or marijuana or hemp or whatever name you put on it should be legalized in Ghana. What would be your response? That's the question.
The first response is the economic aspect, which I will have to explain. Why
briefly,
it is
please.
good to have cannabis legalized in Ghana. Not legalized, but legally regulated. Because I also don't too much buy the legalization yet.
Okay.
I think it should be legally regulated.
And what would be the difference? What would be the difference between legalization and legally regulating?
Legalization is like to me, the way I understand legalization is like everybody can just grow it like corn or cassava in their homes. That's what I see as legalization. But if there should be a regulation with the production and the use and sales of it, which will benefit the nation and in so many other ways apart from say people will be smoking it. It will benefit the nation even with corporate capture, because if it is regulated, no individual company or multinational can wake up and come and give a single farmer some money and some type of seed to grow in the country. So that aspect is good for the country. But why I was saying the law is this law is not
before you go there though, let me also push you a little bit, and I actually want a response from the Najma also, but maybe I should let you finish all that and then I will respond to that. But let me push back a little bit. You said legal regulation, right? Now, let me advocate. If we have fought all this time with the mantra that marijuana is just like any other plant and should be freed up for people to use and all of that, why is it that at this point we are trying to regulate it? Why can't people grow it in their backyard like cabbage?
I'm telling you about the corporate capture, which is very, very serious, because right now people are bringing all kinds of corn seed into the country, like genetically modified kinds of things, and they are growing, But this cannabis now has become a new green gold for the world, So these corporate, these big companies will come with their money and come and take over the market and grow all kinds of plants where they want.
All right, which is why you think it's a good idea to regulate. Okay, I get you. Okay, now you were talking about the law. It looks as if, by the look of things, this discussion will not be for those who want to learn about the basics of marijuana. It looks as if both my guests are ready to go into the deeper depths. Let's go there. The law, Nana. Before Kex comes in and rebuts, let's actually have you lay it out properly so we have a clear understanding what that is. What law were you talking about?
I was talking about the same law that he referred to as the Narcotics Control Commission Act 1019. specifically with reference to Section 43, which gives the minister, there's a provision there for the minister to issue licenses for the cultivation, the processing, the manufacturing, the storing, etc., of industrial hemp. That's the law we're talking about. The Narcotics Control Commission law. I don't share the view that it's been a waste of time. And certainly I understand that industrial hemp is not a narcotic. So we should be able to grow it anyway. But we're not able to do so because the law prohibits the cultivation.
Which is absurd.
That's what
because I was actually trying to draw your attention to the fact that in the industrial hemp, as described by you, would then not qualify as a narcotic. So why does it even fall under the purview of the Narcotics Control Board?
Absolutely not. It's not a narcotic. But that is, that's the quandary we're facing at the moment. And it's going to remain that way because even in the United States where you are, the same laws prevail. You can't just get up and grow industrial hemp without a license. You must have a license. So this is what prevails globally, and that's not going to change at the moment. So that's what we're working with. I don't believe that it's been a waste of time because I think in Ghana we do things very slowly. And when it comes to understanding certain things, we allow culture to govern many things which should just be under a pragmatic theme instead of culture. Now, culturally, we say that anyone who smokes marijuana becomes mad. That's what we say. And we've had professors who have been putting that argument across for decades. It's a well-accepted argument. Keps grew up in the country, and I'm sure he can testify that as a little boy, that people were saying that people who have dreadlocks, who smoke weed, they are bad people, keep away from them, they will kidnap you, they will do all kinds of things. And unfortunately, that type of cultural diatribe has lived with us throughout the decades, so that even in 2023, we are still saying that people who smoke marijuana become mad and they do very strange things. And this has dominated the landscape so much that the main opposition to the legalization of cannabis has been the Christian Council.
Yes.
And the Christian population in this country are 80%, and they form 80% of the electorate. So when it comes to politicians who many agree that marijuana should even be legal, they're very careful because at the end of the day, they don't want to upset those people who will be voting for them. And that's another challenge that we face. This is the reason why the Narcotics Control Commission was steadfast only on industrial hemp. It was an election year. It was 2020, and they made it quite clear to us that we either went along with industrial hemp or nothing.
Okay.
Because they were not prepared to put their political careers and the possibility of losing out
a backlash from the society on a sensitive subject like that. Okay. Yeah, all right.
So that is the case.
I see. Kex, now we have a backdrop to the whole thing. Tell us why you say it's a waste of time.
Oh, the reason why I say it's waste of time is that, as I keep saying, as you all agree, that hemp is industrial hemp is internationally legal. I mean, I don't know if recently they have to take license before they grow it in America. I happen to be having even beloved when you were in Ghana here. I used to have boxer shorts, purse, and shirts made out of hemp, which I used to wear, which they bring it into the country. We used to buy this Uza, this hair cream, which is the hair, right?
Yes.
100%.
Yes, and it is heavily regulated. You need a license to grow it. You can't just grow industrial hemp, just like that.
In those, are you talking about those years?
Yes, and even today.
No, I know say today it is, but I think it is because of the same issue of.
It was even more so back then. It was even more so back then. But yes, that's what the situation is.
So all those companies who used to manufacture those hemp products were under license.
Yes, absolutely. And cakes, it's not even just ganja. Simple basic things like cabbage, like potatoes. You don't know the regulations that govern who can grow potatoes, who can grow at what time, when, how much. It is very heavily regulated. So let's get that out of the way and move on.
Okay, I don't. Apart from that, I don't. At least me and Anna, we've gone on this issue already, and I cannot dispute him that the way they want to take is the right way. But I still stand by my thing that something that which is not supposed to be psychoactive shouldn't be being the thing that they'll be praising themselves that they've legalized.
Okay.
That's all.
So now you were saying something slightly different, which is what I thought you were saying initially, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, which is that the whole fight was only to achieve a legalization of hemp and not marijuana, which most people actually want. And FYI, I had a conversation about Nana with Nana about this on the side some time ago already. We had a little, brainstorming about it.
That was not the idea. That was not the idea, but that was the only choice. That was the only option for us.
Yes.
At this moment, you see, because as he said, even the other Nana Jiman, the former chairman of the, I don't know whether he's still the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee who were handling this, I forget his name, the minister of this region. So that I should send his regards to you.
Yes, Seth Achiapong.
Seth Achiapong. He's my classmate from St. Peter's. We were in the same class in St. Peter's. Great guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
So he said I should send his regards to Nanajima. But continue.
So Seth Achiapong is overseeing that whole process?
He was before the law was
passed. At the time. Okay.
I don't know if he's still.
Okay.
Yeah, he still is. He's still overseeing the whole process. He has a place now on the UN Council that deals specifically with that as well.
Okay.
Eastern Regional Minister, right? He's the same person we're talking about. He's also the Eastern Regional Minister.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Anyways, so it seems as if we are kind of on the same page, except for these little, areas and all of that. But Kex, now let me go to Nana and then I'll come back to you. But I want us to look at the same question. Nana, you remember when we were jojoing about this? I was mentioning the fact that most Ghanaians are interested in the legalization of ganja, so to speak, marijuana, the smokable type, not just the hemp. The hemp, yes, it makes a lot of economic sense and all of that. But so, if you ask me, does the recreational or the smokable one or what, all of that? What's your take?
Yes, absolutely. The recreational use actually generates a lot more money than industrial.
Imagine that.
And very quickly, because in Canada, for example, when they legalized in 2018, and by mid-2022, which was just 4 years, they had made $43 billion US dollars, just in the space of 4 years. So, of course, it does make economic sense as well. As I've said to you, a lot of people may be in favor of legalization, but I'm saying to you that culturally we are stuck in a rut because for so many years we've been saying negative things about marijuana, and it has stuck with us. And right now, the Christian Council has a huge say on this matter, because these are the votes that the politicians really rely on. And so they are wavered by the views and the aspirations of the Christian Council in this country. It's not a group that you can ignore when they carry 80% of the votes. But yes, it makes sense for recreational cannabis.
Okay.
It's not the right time. It's not the right time. What we need to do, we've taken a first step, which is the legalization of industrial hemp. We've taken a first step. And you see, with that first step, there are also other issues that have come into play. And basically, one of the main issues is that they will no longer be giving people long custodial sentences for,
I think that is the first thing everybody is most interested in Ghana, if you ask me. The unnecessary incarceration of people who use marijuana. I think that is number one on the list. But of course, like you say, we are dealing in a very difficult terrain. But again, Kex, this is why I wanted us to get to at least set a certain backdrop for people who may not know all the stuff that we know about why should we even legalize marijuana, because Nana has said it and it's true. A lot of people look very negatively at marijuana, right? But now we're trying to go to parliament to say, hey, listen, let's legalize it. Doesn't that sound awkward? Like, why? Can we make a case for everybody in Ghana? Maybe we should both have a go at this. Nana, you first, please.
We can make a case. There is a case.
In a short few words, just for our listeners.
Well, we only have to look at what is happening across the rest of the world. In Holland, cannabis or marijuana has been legalized for decades.
Yes.
I attended a secondary school in the UK, and at that point, people were traveling to Holland to the weekend to go to the cafes to smoke for the entire weekend. They came back to the UK. No one was mad. No one at all was mad. But this is the case. No one was mad. So it's a very simple case to make. In New York, it's now legal. You can walk down the street and smoke marijuana. Who is getting mad there?
Let me tell you a story about something I mentioned last week. I think, Kex, you said I was walking to the park, right, with my kids. We're walking with other families. There was this guy who was walking with two of his kids. And so he was crossing the road. And the law in New York, when the people start crossing the road, the turning cars have to stop, right? So there's a cop car that's turning, and they have to stop for this guy with his kids to cross the road. Now, this guy has a big spliff that he's smoking. Now, because the cop car stopped, now he has to hold the kids' hands and walk with them to cross the road. Where does the spliff go? In his mouth. So he pops the big spliff in his mouth, draws on it, and just thumbs, high five, thumbs up the cops, and just crosses the road with his kids. The cops thumbs up him back. That's a free society. I went to Detroit. We were sitting on the sidewalk, smoking, and then the cops were driving past and just, signing us. I'm like, this is a civilized society. Why are people getting incarcerated for ganja? I don't know why. But yes, Nana, you've made a good point. Kex, help us with this. Can we make a point to Ghanaians why people should not be put in jail for ganja? Why ganja should at least, like you said, be regulated?
That is what we are really fighting for now. And one of the fights is to try and get the citizens to have that understanding and remove that stigma from the cannabis issue. So the other day we went to, I think, some international drug policy and West African drug policy and POS. They organized some program at No Hotel, and we attended. The first day was just like a private kind of thing with invitation. And it was like we discussed what we need, what we want to do to make sure that law is change. That is where they brought people to come and lecture us about corporate capture and certain agricultural practices. And then after that, the next day, whatever the decision we took there in that meeting, they called people from Narcotics Control Commission. They called, some people came from the Attorney General's office and some other agencies and some chiefs. We gathered again, and then the question was thrown to the whole public. I mean, the whole group. They divided us into 4 groups, and that 4 groups, each group has one Narcotic Control Commission member inside the group. They were about 5, so some certain group they have to be 2 inside. So after the few 40 minutes deliberation, questions that were asked about if you were to be the commissioner today or if you were to be the president, what policies would you like to take towards cannabis?
This was the event you told me about last week. This is the cannabis festival or the marijuana festival, whatever that you attended in the Volta region.
Yeah, the conference.
Okay,
but that's not the one I'm talking about. This one happened in Accra on the 25th. We had our own on the 20th. This one happened on the 25th and 26th. So finally, one of the groups brought a brilliant idea. Though everybody's group brought brilliant ideas concerning education on the people and also the protection and harm reduction and all those things. But finally, one of the groups, which everybody will come and out, the group will choose one person to come and do the presentation. So the guy who was doing the presentation, the last one was from Narcotics Control Commission. And their group have emphasized that they would have preferred that the government take tax from users. From
which group said that? The Attorney General's group?
No, the one with the one of the Narcotic Control Commission.
Narcotic Control, okay. All right, okay.
Yeah, all of us had them. Their group was like the 4th group which presented the issue, and theirs was the most sweetest one, that if you want to smoke cannabis or you want to use it, you should pay. You should pay tax to the government and use it so that the government will use some of those monies to build rehabilitation centers just in case somebody has a problem.
That case has to be put properly, though, if you ask me, because a lot of, you see, right from the foundation, the idea was that cannabis is a plant and people should be free to use it. Now we are settling for let's pay tax to use it. But again, at least, just like a lot of other things, if you eat chocolate, you will be paying tax on it, right? Yeah. So to me, it's a no-brainer. If it's a cash crop that the nation can make money from, let's get wise. Let's find practical ways to make it happen. And let's all chip in if that means us paying a little tax on it. I think that's practical. That's just me. I don't know what anybody thinks.
Because the people who came to the place, the backgrounds of people who came, it's like they carry some understanding to go and to the public that the plants, the negativity of it have to be taken aside. The stigma aspect have to be taken aside, and people, the medicinal aspect have to be more. People have to start to consider.
It has to be a holistic argument. Kex, 1 second. It has to be a holistic argument. I want to bring Nana in at a point. At this point.
And, I just want to make a last point. Then Nana can come inside.
All right.
Because the question is, I'm going to say it also coming to that.
Sure.
Also help you sure. The question of Mr. Akinzi Chapon saying that there is a portion in the law that says a person can have a little possession for his personal use in a day.
As of today, or you were talking about when it's legalized? When it's legalized?
When the law
when it kicks in. Okay.
Yeah, when it start taking effect after this court ruling. I don't know whether it came on or it didn't come on the day before. So then he said that at a place when they was talking to some new police officers, something organized in Kumasi. And then again, at this our meeting, he raised the same issue again, even when the minister was there. I didn't see that part of the law yet, because I've tried to comb that section 43 and I can't see it there. You know, so I don't know if Nana also knows anything about it, but that he said that. Then as Nana said again, the custodial sentence is also, no more like, the only problem they say is that they have to be, if you are addicted, they should send you to a rehabilitation center. So I was telling them that fortunately, cannabis is the only plant that when you are withdrawing from taking it, you don't need any medical help. And that also became like a challenge, but an argument, but so Nana can come in now.
Okay. Nana, please tackle that for me, and then I'll also have a follow-up question for you. I mean, I'll have a question already slated for you.
Well, I mean, the whole thrust of the law is about harm reduction. So this issue of rehabilitation centers and all that, it does come in. Ghana doesn't even have rehabilitation centers
to start with.
I can't point to one.
No.
I remember attending a meeting with the Narcotics Control Commission, and I said to them that once we get our license and we start cultivating, one of the first things that we will do is construct a rehabilitation center, because they don't have any. They don't have any at all. Now, this issue about being able to have a certain amount of ground in your possession, I've not seen it in the law.
Neither me.
But there are some things that Mr. Kwesi Sarpong has cited, not that we haven't all read the law, but from the wording of certain things within there, the implications are thus. But it has not been seen by everyone. There's lots of different hidden messages within that law that have not been seen, that have been agreed, but has not been recognized by the lawmakers. You see, once we get everything going, Kwesi Sarpong will bring these things out. When it comes to the issue of taxing, look, there's got to be a tax, not just because you're smoking it, not in that aspect, but the cultivation, the processing, the manufacturing, etc., there must be some tax, so that the government can get some internally generated revenue, which we would hope they would use accordingly and not mismanage. That's another issue for another day. But yes, taxes must apply. But I would say that taxes should apply on a spliff. That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're not talking about cigarettes here.
But Nana, let me cut you. Even if that, we rather prefer that than to be being chased by police around.
First of all, and again, it's much more expensive to get out of police grips for just smoking a spliff than to pay a little tax on it. And plus, Nana, like I was saying, if you bought a chocolate bar, right, you'll be paying tax on it. If you ate kenke, you'll be paying tax on the kenke, right?
Yeah, but you see, the thing here is this. Look, what we have to get to, where we have to get to with marijuana sales in this, that in the USA, you can't buy. Well, you can buy marijuana on the streets, but that's an illicit purchase. Where you can purchase marijuana and be confident about the product, the safety of the product, is from dispensaries.
Yes.
And when you buy it from a dispensary, automatically there is tax.
There's a tax, exactly.
Automatically, whatever dispensary you go to, there is tax. Now, I support the establishment of dispensaries all around the world because they have to sell a product that is safe.
Yes.
And here in Ghana, we cultivate marijuana, but we don't know if it's safe. We don't test the soil. Some farmers use pesticide and other things that are also dangerous. You ingest all these things, you kill yourself. You will kill yourself. So I support the establishment of dispensaries.
Yes.
And once you have dispensaries, you will naturally get taxed. So
the problem
guy is saying is nothing really.
The problem with dispensaries, and I do support dispensaries too, absolutely. Because first of all, if not for anything, it is a sure way of ensuring employment for the youth, right? Rather than have boys and girls sneaking around and hiding from police and doing all type of things and not even sure of their hustle. They get up, go to a dispensary and serve as an assistant, right? Instead of being a pusher on the roadside, so to speak, you work in a uniform in a dispensary where somebody comes there legally to buy marijuana and you sell it to them legally. No police is coming to chase you, and you have a decent job. It's a job, right? So yeah, absolutely. If not for anything, but then again, if we look at dispensaries are also one way that makes it possible for bigger companies to capture the market. We're talking about franchises, which are very common in the United States. For instance, you have a franchise that will put a store in every city. They'll put a store in every block around the corner. You have the smaller ones who are struggling to put up one little store in one town. Nana, what do you think?
Well, you see, that scenario is a scenario that you're facing in the United States of America. It's not a scenario that we have here. You see, we must stand up to the multinationals when they come. We must stand up to them. And furthermore, we're not even at a dispensary level yet because marijuana can't be cultivated in accordance with this law anyway, unless you have a research and development license. So it's not something that's facing us here. But in the USA, yes. By and large, the people who are benefiting the most from the legalization of cannabis are white people.
Nana, my fear is more for Ghana because as it stands now, it's an open market. I'm sure investors are looking at it. Investors are looking at Ghana as a destination and wondering when that law will pass. And as soon as it passes, people with big capital will come flooding in. That's the point I'm making. So it's not really a United States issue. In the United States,
at the moment.
Well, no, 1 second, Nana. In New York, hold on a second, Kex. Let me make a point. Kex, please. In New York, for instance, Nana, they have a system where people who have been to jail for marijuana before have the right of choice to pick up a license to own a dispensary, right? So they are putting in checks and balances to make sure that at least mom and pop stores that decide to sell. I have a letter from the department, the cannabis department. I forgot to bring it. I would have read it to you. They actually have advocacy on that to make sure that mom and pop stores that sell marijuana or cannabis or whatever are doing well. They thrive and protect them against the multinationals. We don't have that in Ghana. If right now some company came to Ghana and said, "Hey, my name is Deng company, and I brought $2 million into the government would embrace them and give them a plot of land, and they would drown everybody else, especially if they had the resources to put a dispensary in every city versus the average farmer who's trying to just." That's where my head is at, Nana.
Well, there's a difference between farmers and those who want to establish dispensaries. No, farmers won't want to establish dispensaries. They're cultivating, they're processing. They're not people who will say, "Okay, I'm a farmer, so I'll have a dispensary." No, I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, ideally, every farmer would like to make the most out of his money. So if they had a choice, that's why I brought the New York example in, right?
No, it's not. Realistic. It's not realistic. They can't.
Okay, be that as it may. Substitute farmer with the local investor in the same scenario. Let's see how that works. Substitute farmer with local investor. The local investor in Ghana, like you and I, and President Kex, and a dozen or 100 or 1,000 other people who want the opportunity to invest in marijuana in Ghana once it's legal, right? We are the ones who've been chased down for it. We're the ones who have carried the tag, the negative tag all this time. Now, if it gets legalized, some company comes from somewhere because they have $2 million or how much ever $1 million, and that's my concern. Quickly, please, and then Kex can chip into.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. When it comes to that, and we need to have the $2 million as well, we'll get it. We will get it.
Okay.
I will go and get that.
Okay, you and I might be able to get that, but
I won't sit by and watch a multinational and just do stuff like that. I will go and get it.
Right.
Also, the other day at the meeting again, one of the reasons that came out is that when we talk, after we're talking about the corporate capture thing, is that the law should be made in a way that the license is not transferable, and also the land is also not transferable, so that if farmers can form their own little farming cooperatives and take up the license and farm, it should be in the hands of them. It shouldn't be like some foreign nationals who come with their big money and the government should give them anything like that, like to give them the license for that matter. So the license will be more to the indigenous instead of being it to like these big multinationals.
You are saying this is a consideration in the bill already?
Well, it's going to be in the airline, because what we did the other day was something to guide the airline, so that when the law is finally passed and they are doing the airline, they will add these clauses to it, because
the airline is already written. The airline
whatever that is what they were saying. The people who organize the program.
Is it possible there's going to be a review maybe, and then that might be,
the LI is written already. The LI is written already.
And it's not possible to review.
I don't know why they kept that program, because the reasons they kept the program is to know what will be suitable for the Ghana market when it comes to the regulation.
Yeah, of course.
The market.
Of course. I think we've got to be realistic about it, because you see, we don't have an enabling environment in Ghana. If I, for example, want to get a loan in Ghana, we're talking about 40% interest. It's not possible unless I'm an international drug dealer. That loan, I can't take that loan. Right? So when we're talking about people getting up to do stuff and what have you, we can't access the funds here. We don't have an enabling environment. All the funds that I'm trying to source, or that the HAG company is trying to source, we are talking with financiers outside of the country, and we're looking at between 3 to 7% interest. That's where everybody's focus has got to be. Ghana, let's face the fact. I mean, we can write a lot of things down and they sound good, they read well on paper. Right now, Ghana is very corrupt. It's a very corrupt place to live in. And the people I know of Aura, who are from Canada, and they've been here over 2 years, living in one of the hotels here in Ghana. They have their briefcase, they have their money in the briefcase, and I've met dozens of other European brothers and sisters who want to be here because in terms of cultivating, it's much, much cheaper because we're not looking at greenhouses, extraction farms, lights, etc., etc., etc. We're blessed because we're on the equator. They've all come with their money. Do you think the ministers and the MPs are not going to take that money? Do you think that's not going to happen? They're going to take the money and they're going to help these expatriates establish the business.
That was the fear I was expressing a short while ago.
Yeah, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
That's the thing.
Down in that fear because look, for us, for example, even if they do come and do that, they can't come and do it on the land we have. So it doesn't stop us from doing what we're doing. We still have to continue and do what we're doing. It's called competition. That's what it's called. It's called competition. You see? So
another aspect, you don't want the seeds to come from any other country.
But the thing about it
isn't that going to be difficult though?
We don't cultivate for seeds. We don't cultivate for seeds. We don't have labs or anything. There's so many things that have to take
so
place.
where will we be sourcing your seeds unless you are going to set up a lab to start developing seeds?
We don't want the seeds from anywhere else. Where are you going to get them from? Where are you going to get hemp seeds from? The law is passed for hemp. Where are you going to get the hemp seeds from?
All right.
We don't have hemp in Ghana. We have marijuana. So where are the seeds going to come from? They're going to come from abroad.
All right. Let me do some duty, and I'll be right back. I'm trying to give my sponsors some acknowledgements, and I'll be back in a sec. Telling you about DocPam, DOKPAM. This is the app that connects you with your doctor via video. Yes, indeed, especially in a place like Ghana, where the doctor-patient ratio is so abysmal. DocPam comes in as a sure help. My mind, I just smoke it to deal with the hustle and the grind. With DocPam, what happens is that if you have an emergency, or let's say you have a medical condition that needs constant monitoring, what you do is that you download the app, you install it on your phone. Remember, there's two different DocPam apps. There's the doctor app and there's the patient app. If you're a doctor, you already know you're downloading the doctor app and you're using it to consult with your patients. But if you are a patient, or if you are not a doctor and you want to get the services of a doctor, what you do is that you download the app, and what you do, you go on it and you register. Anytime you have a medical need, you go on there and you get a doctor of your choice and you convo with them via video conferencing. Anywhere you have phone coverage, you can use DocPam, which means that it's a vital need for everybody. Charlie, wherever you are, make sure they have DocPam on their phone. So, because let's say they go to the farm and then there's an emergency, where the ambulance there, where the immediate doctor there, where is the first aid? What you can do though is that if you have DocPam, you get to the doctor tells you, say, you know what do you have around you? You have some champon, put some on that before you can come in and come and see me. DocPam is very useful. It's spelled DOKPAM, DocPam. It's your doctor in your palm. We're also supported by Odumtree.com. Odumtree, what they do is that they set up a platform where artisans from Ghana can sell to the international market and earn dollar money into their pocket. You see, say some Weibo people will come buy a drum from Art Center for like 200 CD. And then they go America and go put it online and sell it, say it be some antique from Africa or something, and sell it for like $2,000. We are stopping all of that. Odumtree is here to ensure that. The artisans go register on Odumtree.com. And then when you're done with that, what you can do is that you put your stuff on there and sell directly to an international market. Odumtree.com. Go to www.odumtree.com and check out the site. Thank you very much, DocPam and Odumtree.com. Back to the discussion with President Kex and Nana Jemine. Yes. Nana and Kex, let's go on. So one thing that I want us to look at, critically, is that this law now, as it stands, how is it going to benefit the average Ghanaian? Because we all understand that if they had said, "Oh, the law explicitly," if the law explicitly says that nobody's going to jail for ganja no more, anything like that, then yay, But as it stands now, it's shrouded in all kind of jargon and technicalities. Kex first. What's in it for us? What's in it for Ghanaians? What do we have to look up to if this law becomes, law?
As you said, for the industrial aspect, it can bring us some money. But biomass will not really give us anything that much, but it can bring us some money. For the individuals, at least if there's no custodial sentence, and if it's a fine, and the fine is reasonable, we can take that for now. We can know that there's a fine. I just don't know when they calculate it in those units in the court. They will tell us how many points or something like that. They have the way they calculate the sentence. The fine. So I don't know how much the money is at.
Fine for what though? Fine for if you're arrested for smoking marijuana?
For possession.
Why?
For possession. But what
Why must there be a fine for possession when in other places people are getting compensated?
Hold on.
Yes.
You see, the last program we went again, what I gathered there in the law is that as long as you can get someone to give you, a doctor to give you, let's say diagnose you or maybe like prescribe
pain, pain management or something like that.
You should be able to go and get the license to possess it. Because I was asking them, said we are fighting for the returning of our brothers and sisters from the West back to Africa. And these people, most of them are on medical marijuana and is medication, and is also prescribed to them by doctors. And if they are traveling, they should carry it along. So what is going to happen to them if they are in Ghana? You understand me? So they say there is a provision that you can go to the Ministry of Health and get a permit.
As a tourist?
A lawful authority, that's what they call it.
So you see, you've stirred the hornet's nest. Nana, I would like to come in a second, but let me dwell on this thing a bit. This tourism thing, right? On my recent visit to Ghana, I'm in a taxi with my producer and my brother. We went to a Ital restaurant to go eat. I'm going home. We get to a point, there's a police van, there's a few people. They stop the van, peek through the van, and pull just me out. Remember, I'm the only dreadlock person in the van, in the car, in the taxi. They pull me out.
Profiling.
Yes. The guy goes through everything but my boxer shorts. And then he's like, I had a bottle of juice, right? And then he pours the juice on his hand and then he smells it. I'm like, first of all, look how unprofessional that is. Like, do you even have the resources to tell if there's anything? He says, because some of the people, they put ganja in their juice. So you're mounting a roadblock to look for ganja in my juice? And I'm saying that, look, let's assume that I was a tourist, right? And then I had got a recommendation that Ghana is a great place to go, all of these things, hospitality, blah, blah, all of these things. And remember, this was my second day after landing in Ghana. Okay, I'm not a tourist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I had just arrived home. This was my second day after being away for 12 years. And the welcome I was receiving was this guy pulling me out of the taxi like that. If I was a tourist, would I recommend Ghana to anybody? So the fight for the legalization of marijuana or ganja or the regulation or whatever we want to call it, it's essential because it's tied to so many different things. It's heavily tied to tourism. A lot of people who travel for tourism, they want to smoke. They want to be free to do what they want to do. Now they come all the way from the United States where they can sit on their balcony and smoke for free and go in a country where they have to go in a dark alley to secure marijuana or something. They will not do it. They will not do it. They'll go to a country where it's free, a country where they have ganja festivals and spend the tourist money there. I'm just saying. Nana, please come in.
You are right. But you see, concerning this profiling, the council has gone to police headquarters already. We've met with the Ghana Police Command, and we complained about this profiling issue. And they sent a release to all, a communique to all their, I don't know how we call the word, but they sent it to all the district headquarters, telling the police that despite the fact that performing their duty, they should be very circumspect with the way they handle the Rastafari community. So these type of things, like to say, we take the numbers for the police or something, we could have just pursued it and complained to them. So that has been something they've been doing always to all of us. So there's
it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. But anyway, Nana, you have a contribution to make on that.
Well, I mean, look, yesterday, 2 members of HAG were locked up in Kumasi. One of them had a spliff. And basically, the police said that they wanted 1,000 Ghana cedis from both of them before they let them go. They held them for a few hours and basically got 500 Ghana cedis each before releasing them. I mean, the communiques that are sent out, I would argue that that's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. Kex, if you're talking about the actual waste of time, this is it.
Because at the end of the day, the police are not going to adhere to that. The police have been told by their IGP that, look, don't take money from people who are driving their cars when you stop them at ears and stuff like that. It still goes on.
Exactly.
It's not going to stop now. We've even got the new recruits out. Some young boys. And when they see that you've done something wrong, you didn't have a seatbelt on or anything like that, they come to you, they give you some long talk and they're waiting for you to get, 10 or 20 or 30 Ghana cedis out. It exists all over the place. Now, for me, the issue about the custodial sentence is that if you are apprehended with a certain amount, then there's no jail time. But if, say, for example, you've got over an ounce or so, or a couple of ounces, then it will be presumed that you're a dealer. And on that basis, you will probably get a custodial sentence. But if you've just got
on the basis that you don't have a license to sell, not on the basis basically that's what that punishment should be for, right? Because
it's illegal. You've got to remember it's illegal. It's not about a license to sell.
No, Nana. My argument is this:
people don't walk around with tins of milk or bread or blah in their pocket and they say that they're selling them. They have an establishment. They have somewhere where they sell from.
Nana,
so it's
my
the
point,
same way.
Yeah, I get you. But the point I'm making is that is that if you have up to a certain amount, it's presumed to be for personal use. So you're not in trouble. Anything above that, it's presumed that you are selling. And at that point, if you really think about it, the punishment should be for not having a license to sell, because what you've done wrong is having commercial quantities of the product and not having a product that is illegal in itself. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I know, but the fact is that you would have something in your possession that is illegal and that you are selling.
By virtue of the fact that it's a certain amount. And not by virtue of the fact that you have the thing itself. Is the point I'm trying to make, though.
I know, but that's not what the law says. The law says marijuana is illegal. So having it, period, is against the law.
Yes.
Now, because of harm reduction, because of the way they have molded the law to be a little bit more understanding, if you are apprehended, and let's say you have 14 that's half an ounce. One can say, yes, that is for personal use. But if you have an ounce, then one can say, no, that's not personal use. You've taken this thing on a commercial level, and you are selling, You see, so there will be a ceiling. There will be a ceiling. In America, you have that sort of thing, where they say you can't have over a certain grams. 14 grams, half an ounce. If someone has 14 grams, you can smoke 14 grams in a day.
But you don't have to have it in the. You don't have to smoke it in the day, though. Let's say you are stashing up.
Rasta. you see, with this, with like that, people, and the quantity they can smoke, everybody and the amount of
basically.
Because if some of us sit down with our chalice, that half ounce is nothing for us in a few minutes, or in a
few minutes.
Or let's say in an hour or two, it's nothing for us. Actually, hour is too long.
Anyway.
So
but we get the general point. We get the general point, though.
We will take anything. Mm-hmm. We will take anything which is better than before. That's all for now. But the fight continues.
Yeah, but this is what I said to you in the beginning. You were saying it was a waste of time, and I'm saying to you that industrial hemp is the first step. The Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Acheampong, will carry this torch further to say that there should be a full legalization. He's quite clear on that. I don't know if he didn't make that clear to you at meeting.
Maybe he made it clear.
So that's the first.
So Nana, my challenge though is that how do we convince people who are still being incarcerated for Westplay for 2 to join the support for the legalization of hemp when we are also explicitly making the point that hemp is not a narcotic? And then the rules that apply to the narcotic version of the plant does not apply to this one. Where are we recruiting that support from?
No, well, I don't know that there's necessarily a need to recruit the support in the first place from those people who have been incarcerated. The support must be recruited from the general population.
The general public, though, is what I mean.
Well, okay, but you've not said that. You see, marijuana is not exclusive to any particular group,
no,
or nation, or whatever. It's not an exclusive thing. Marijuana was discovered in the Himalayas. It was discovered in Asia. It wasn't something that was discovered here. It's like cocoa. It was brought here. Do you understand? So there's no exclusivity to any one group or any one race or anything like that. What we're doing, we're looking at the whole thing holistically. We're looking at everybody. Yes, Rastafarians may consume half an ounce within 15 minutes of putting it in the chat. Yeah, it's a fact. But the issue is this. If you are caught with more than half an ounce, the law says it will presume that you are a dealer, and on that basis, a custodial sentence is applicable. These are the things we must deal with, the facts.
And that's why I'm trying to find out why people like myself, who is very, very bent on seeing the laws change, especially the custodial sentence aspect of it. And now I hear about a law that is supposed to come in and streamline things and take it or leave it. When we hear marijuana or cannabis or whatever, we are all thinking of the same thing, right? But when we get into if we do a more nuanced check, then we realize that it's not really the same thing, because hemp is not the same as cannabis. We can't smoke hemp, like you said before. And also, if I'm caught with maybe a bundle of hemp, once the law passes, no wahala. But if I'm caught with one spliff, plenty wahala. That's where I'm trying to, because really and truly, I think that the messaging that's going out to the general public seems to suggest that it is ganja, smokable ganja, that is being looked at, and that is going to be legalized or regulated.
That's not the case. You see, the thing is this. When we talk about, we call things different names.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about Indian hemp, we are basically talking about marijuana.
Mm.
Because hemp is not something that people gather around and put in a chalice and smoke. But it is something that has been with us for a very long time. Now, when we had soldiers who were out in India or somewhere in Asia, blah, 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 and they used to smoke it, That's how the name came Indian hemp. And they came back to Ghana and started saying Indian hemp, Indian hemp, Indian hemp. So every time you hear the hemp word, you think it is all about marijuana when it's not. It's later on now that the definition has become quite clear.
Yeah.
That we are all understanding that it's not the case. But it is something that culturally is embedded within our society culturally. So whenever you hear the word hemp, you all think that it's marijuana. This is the challenge. So it's about education.
No, I beg to differ. That's not the case. I think the case is that when two things, and I'm very sure of one and not so sure of the other. This is what I'm sure of, is that hemp and marijuana, cannabis, they're related, right? It's practically the same plant. It's just maybe different species of it or something. So we're not too mistaken if we hear hemp in this context, especially, and then associate it with that. Number two, the very logo that's being used to push this fight, the imagery that goes with it, is that of the marijuana that we all associate with. And then the last part that I'm not too sure about is that there could also be the case. It could also be the case that some people are nefariously using, misinforming the public to garner support for something that is not what they really think it is. Because at the end of the day, the public might throw their support behind this, thinking that hemp, ganja, same thing, only to find out that they're still going to jail for smoking one split after the law has been passed and say, yes, it's, hemp is legal. That's the point I'm making.
Well, I don't agree with any of the points you've made because
interesting.
You see, yeah, I'll tell you why. Because the hemp leaf is different to the marijuana leaf. Yeah?
Is it?
They're two different leaves. Yes, of course they are. Of course they are. And yes, they are relatives. There's no two ways about that. And that's where the word cannabis comes into play. Because you have cannabis sativa and you have cannabis indica.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question though. Hold your thought, please. So if you grew hemp, right, and instead of 0.03, you had, let's say, 1.25, could you smoke that and be high?
No.
You couldn't smoke that either. You couldn't smoke that.
No, you wouldn't get high from it. You can smoke anything.
Okay.
But if you smoked
even if you increase the percentage of cannabinol in it.
No, it's the THC.
The THC.
Increase it to what? Because you've just said 1.5 and I've said no. You want to increase it some more?
Well, we're learning. Yeah, I want to increase it some more. Push it to, let's say, 10%.
It won't do anything for you. It won't do anything for you because the hemp doesn't produce buds. It doesn't produce buds in the same way that the marijuana produces the buds. It doesn't do that. So it's something completely different. And as I said to you, the marijuana leaf is different to the hemp leaf.
Yeah, and then
same construct. But if you know your marijuana, you'll know that leaves are different. Just like if you know your marijuana.
Well, I don't know my hemp. I know my marijuana for sure. I don't know hemp like that. I don't produce nothing from hemp.
No, well, you can go online and have a look at a hemp leaf and compare it to a marijuana leaf. The construct is the same, but it's different. It's different.
That really does nothing for me, though. I mean, yeah, the leaves could be different and whatever, but you also said that they are related.
It's not could, Kwesi. I'm categoric. It's not a matter of could. The leaves are different.
Yes, they are different.
Right.
So says you. But what I'm saying here is that
true. It's true.
No, I'm not doubting what you're saying. I'm not.
Of your show,
Nana.
I'm not allowed.
Nana.
I'm not allowed to get away with that.
No, Nana. Nana, listen.
You said that you had someone you were introducing as a guest who has provided you with information that's well resourced, well researched, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I am speaking to you on that platform.
And I'm saying to you, Nana, that because I don't know that, I'm attributing that to you. Right? Because you, as you can tell, I'm just learning that right now. which is why I'm attributing it to you.
You're an international herb man. You're not just.
And like I said, I am an international cannabis ganja man. The hemp part, I'm not an expert in that. So you are the expert. You're educating us, right? So don't take take what I said to be a slight of your authority or your.
The leaves are different.
Mm-hmm.
The leaves are different.
Of course they are.
Okay, but I don't even know where the leaves come in.
Even in marijuana, there are some little slight differences in some of the leaves. Like indica has a different leaf than the sativa.
Yes.
And I think hemp falls rather in the category of ruderalis.
No, it's not ruderalis. It's actually the sativa.
But some sativas can hide because these seeds people are selling and things, they show you sativa and they show you the THC content and it's high.
Yeah, now.
But it's not as high as indica.
No, now you can do that because of the genetics.
Okay.
But prior to
we are getting where I was going.
But prior to that, no.
That was the same.
No, seriously. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. We're building a point, you see, because right now we are dealing with semantics. And that leads me to the third point that you said you don't agree with. Maybe you can respond to that. But no. There's a lot of
with genetics. You see,
there's genetics, but I'm also seeing semantics. Because now we have people who don't know, like even me myself, right? Who don't know the all there is to know about the differences between cannabis and marijuana, right? Or hemp or whatever. And then now there's a campaign out there that most people connect with cannabis, marijuana, not hemp. You know, so that's why I said what I said. And now you said you don't agree with me. So if maybe you could round up on the third part.
One of the reasons why I say this law is a waste of time is because what we wanted to achieve, which according to Nana and the other people is a step ahead, is still acceptable. But the cannabis, like the chief asked at the program that day, that how can a plant become a drug? You know, and people were explaining it because the law says it's a drug, so that be accepted as a drug. But there should be a way we could challenge that law to prove to us why a plant becomes a narcotic in the first place. You see, so the law. The waste of time for this hemp thing is only, to me, the only good aspect is the regulatory aspect and maybe a stepping stone towards the next step.
Well, we also agree that if it's passed, it's also another big resource in terms of economics, right? So we can't dispute that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. Even if you want to say maybe they could have achieved more, that's a debate to be had, you know. But
yeah, there should have been more, like they should have achieved more. But as I say, I agree with the stepping stone issue.
Well, Nana says they couldn't, and I cannot know what he's talking about because, guys, we know our people. That's why I when we started, I was harping on making the case for ganja in the first place. Because anyway, but let's leave that behind. We already explored that. Let me go back to where I was before the Nana and Cakes, because I think that people do not understand what that law is really about. A lot of people think that it's a law for the legalization of smokable ganja, and it's not that at all. Do we agree?
No.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree with you.
But there's a small leeway, which the personal use can be, you know, I'll say mitigated, or how will I say it?
There's like a small door.
If there's a way that you can have a small quantity for your personal use,
yeah, but
that
you see,
should be also a good step.
Let me ask Nana, this group that advocated for the law, I'm assuming you were also interested in advocating for recreational cannabis, or you were just advocating for hemp?
Yes. I told you what happened. They told me straight up that, look, if you have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep pushing for full legalization, they will do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's an election year. 80% of the people who are going to vote are against.
Yeah.
People want to retain their seats.
People
want to ensure
that's not even true. I know, and I'm not challenging you. I'm challenging the source of that information because it's not true. This is the truth. 80%, not 80, maybe at least 60% of Ghanaians are sympathetic towards the legalization of marijuana because of stigmatization, because of a few other things, family associations, whatnot, cultural, complications, because of things like that. Not everybody's going to come out and say that. But believe me, if we were to put it to a secret vote, at least 60% of Ghanaians would vote to at least regulate and decriminalize marijuana. Because all the people in the ghettos that get raided every day, all the people that get chased every day, there's a ghetto in every single town in Ghana, true or false?
No, but listen, let me say this to you. It's not the ghetto that's going to make the 60%. Because Ghana consumes, in terms of this continent, Ghana is third in this continent in between Nigeria and South Africa. Ghana is third for consuming cannabis
on the average.
Country. And the vast majority of people who consume cannabis in this country are Christians.
Exactly. And Muslims don't even shy. Muslims, unlike Christians, don't even make it. The Muslims don't stigmatize it the way Christians do.
No, but Muslims smoke it as well.
That's what I'm saying. And they don't stigmatize it the way Christians do.
No, they don't. They don't. There's a whole hypocrisy of the thing. Yes, a secret vote. Yes, you could get 60%.
I think so.
But it's not a ghetto thing. It's civil servants.
Exactly. No, the ghetto is just one constituency. It's our families. It's our family members. It's us. Everybody. It's the same father who has to hide to go secure his marijuana every time, and now realizing that, I can actually do that without all the hustle, they will definitely vote for that. I just feel like we haven't made the case. And when we make the case, I feel like we succumb to some of the nonsense that they put up, like 80% of Ghanaians, are going to vote. And no, it's just because they can't stand on a platform to say that, hey, do this, and then people will say, but the same people that may be saying, no, they are the same people that want the thing to be. Ghanaians are a complex breed, bro. Like, seriously.
Because hypocrisy. It's called hypocrisy.
Because funnily enough, most of our women too, they want it for their hair. They want
there you go.
And things for their hair. And these are young, there's some guys there now, they don't want to see them smoking for the day. Put it inside a petition. And drink, and they say give them a good sex drive and all this.
You see, now we are veering into the areas where it becomes a problem. This is part of the reasons why people will stand against it, right? If they see things like people putting it in a petition and stuff like that. And that brings me back to what Nana was saying a while ago about being sure of the source of what we are consuming, having it in places where it's certified, right? Dispensaries and stuff like that. But now all of a sudden, and that's where I agree with you two, Kex, about the regulation rather than just the open legalization. Because now we'll have people doing all manner of things to it, right? People will.
But if you have legalization, you will have regulation. Because that's what an LI is. Yes. LI regulates the law. It's operationalizes the law. You can't have legalization without regulation.
There you go.
But I don't know if corn is regulated. I don't know if, even according to what I heard, some plants in Ghana here have higher levels of THC than cannabis, like ayoyo.
Ayoyo?
Them. Yes.
I should be eating more TZ.
And I know mango and cocoa. They have some dopamine also.
That's
them.
Interesting. Okay, guys.
And even there's THC in mango too.
That's interesting.
It's non-psychoactive if it exists.
Trace elements, though, I'm sure. Trace amounts.
And then we the humans, we have the endocannabinoid system. So
okay, let's look at CBD. Let's look at CBD, because even in America, where we are saying it's legal and whatnot, it's not so in every state, right? A short while ago, I was in New York, where I could practically walk on the street and burn my spliff, no stress. Now I live in Texas, where it's not so at all. And what you can in New York, you can buy high grade marijuana from a dispensary, very high grade, high concentration, all of that. Here, you cannot do so much. You can only buy CBD from the dispensaries. Nana, are we looking at the production of CBD also? Because then maybe that will be a buffer between what we want and what these people want, right? Because CBD is not as strong as THC, and it's medicinal and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. You get CBD from hemp. You get CBD. There are hundreds of compounds. CBD, CBN, CBA. There are so many different compounds. So yeah, you will get CBD from industrial hemp. And it's good it's anti-inflammatory. It deals with pain. Yes. There's so many things it deals with.
Okay, so let me understand.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's true that you can get more CBD inside hemp, because what I know is that they all move in proportion. The CBD and the THC. If it's only more like scientifically engineered, that is where maybe the THC run away and the CBD level. And then another thing I don't know about this CBD is that people are now growing plants which is not hemp, but they only grow it for CBD extraction. And those plants now will eventually become patented. That's what people will be doing with it. And as far as I know,
synthetic stuff.
Yeah, no, not synthetic, but when they start to produce the CBD plants, apart from hemp, because I know some groups in America, they grow only the CBD plant, but it's not directly Indian hemp. It brings forth all right.
Nana, let me understand that CBD thing though properly, because you just mentioned that CBD is from hemp, right?
Yeah, it's also from marijuana.
Okay, so smokable. So the smokable CBD that we buy from the stores, that comes from hemp.
Well, you see, you get the plant is brother and sister. The compounds are the same, more or less. In the industrial hemp, you get much less THC than you do. Now, let me.
I guess this is what I mean. A short while ago, you just mentioned that you could smoke as much hemp as you want, you wouldn't get high. And now we're saying that the smokable CBD comes from hemp. I've smoked the smokable CBD
because
it comes from both plants, means that it could also come from hemp. So what I'm saying is that I've smoked hemp. I've smoked CBD, and I was high like the big dog.
No, you can't.
I'm telling you.
No.
No. Wait. Stick a pin. You were saying that you cannot be high from smoking CBD flowers?
No.
No.
It's non-psychoactive.
No, that's not true at all. That is not true at all.
Nana, to try it one day and see.
That's not true at all. Nana, it's used for pain management. Part of what it does is that it practically knocks you out.
But they say it's
I had surgery. After my surgery,
not by smoking.
By smoking, Nana. After I had surgery. After surgery, I burned pain. I went to get some pain management, CBD from the store. That thing knocked me out faster than the ganja does.
No,
puts me to sleep really quick, and you sleep good too.
Rasta, could it be that because of you have so much THC? You compliment it. Which is the work of CBD.
It was a reaction, maybe. maybe, but no. People buy. What I know is that even for people who live in places where it's more prohibited, like they don't have recreational use and stuff like that, they substitute it with CBD. They'll go and smoke CBD, and anyway, maybe we'll look.
I'd say categorically that CBD is not considered a psychoactive compound.
It's not considered.
Psychoactive compounds are substances that affect the central nervous system and alter brain function. That CBD doesn't do that.
Okay.
It doesn't do that.
Okay. Well, I'm just describing what happened to my body when I smoked it.
Affect your central nervous system. You have you've got other health challenges. CBD couldn't do anything to you.
No, that's not true. Because I'm telling you that it's not just me. I'm telling you that people smoke CBD in place of THC if they can't find it. People do that.
Yes, that's cool. Because the reason being, let me come in. The reason being, CBD is something that has a calming and a relaxing effect. Right? It's something that you use to alleviate anxiety. It's something that you use to promote relaxation.
Yep, good sleep, all of that.
Right? Right? It reduces inflammation. It relieves pain, just like you talk about. And one of the key things, because you said it knocks you out, it improves sleep.
Yes.
That's what it does.
So does marijuana. So does ganja.
But it's not psychoactive.
No, I didn't use the word psychoactive, Nana.
No, but you said it knocked you out.
It knocks me out. I'm describing what happened.
You're suggesting there's a psychoactive.
I don't even know the meaning of psychoactive.
No, but I told you.
No. Of course I know the meaning of psychoactive. I'm saying in this context, I never used the word psychoactive. All I know is that it had an effect on me that's akin to the effect that
a relaxing effect. It's alleviated your anxiety.
So what is a high? Kex, help us. You are the one who smokes half pound a day. What when this can you describe what a high is? Because to me, that's what the high is. Calm, all of that. No. Kex. Hello, Kex.
This is because we use herb. So when we know exactly how. That is what I tell some people sometimes. When apart from all the scientific proofs and things, most of us who have experienced it over the years, we can testify. Because me, I tell people right now that there's no herb that makes me high because I'm high already. So if I even take that CBD too, me too, I'll get high. But also I've never tried it separately before, so I cannot too much say anything about it. But as far as I know, the two of them have to move together. That is what I know, because that is the wisdom of God, that the two, both CBD and THC have to work together in the human body.
Nana, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nana. Somebody explained it to me like this, that CBD is the element that kind of like calms down the high, right? Like the THC will send you up, so to speak, high, and then the THC is the element in it that beats it and checks it so that
it will tell you to stop at this level.
At that, so to speak, so that you don't over high, overdose or whatever. Is that what it is, Nana?
Yeah.
Well, you can't over high and you can't overdose on cannabis.
Exactly, and that's because there's the CBD in there. It's the natural checking mechanism.
One of the reasons is because of the combination of the CBD and the THC.
Nana, you're saying something though.
Well, my understanding of the THC, which makes it significantly different from the CBD, is that in terms of deducing what it does, THC reduces stress. It also reduces anxiety. It also promotes relaxation. But what it also does, because CBD does that too, it can alter your perception. These are the things that the THC does. It can alter your perception. And when you took the CBD, for example, it didn't increase your appetite. THC increases your appetite. Yeah? Yes. Yeah. It stimulates.
That is also debatable, but it's not the general view.
Well, I mean, Kex, you've been smoking for a while. You can't tell me you've not smoked weed and then you're on munchies
Kex,
and you're
that's a general.
My lord, as for me, as for me, I don't feel like I don't take help for appetite any longer. I don't feel hungry when I eat as smoker, because when I was younger, I read sometimes I was having money to eat, and anytime I even go around ghetto for people to give me money to eat, they still give me weed, as hungry as I am. So me, most of the time, I fast from morning to maybe at 2-3 o'clock, and at all that time, I drink only water and smoke a lot. So me, I don't have a problem with the hunger. That's why I say it's different.
No problem. Well,
but the fresh smokers always have that kind of problem, because I know most of the ladies around here, they take herb and they always want to go and eat immediately. So that is not a wrong notion. But
okay, so I'm happy you accept that it's not a wrong notion, because it's a very valid notion. Marijuana definitely boosts your marijuana is actually used to treat patients who have issues with eating.
Yeah.
So
increase appetite.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It's a known fact.
And also with the THC, it gives you have a sense of well-being. You feel, I wouldn't necessarily say you feel happy. I'm looking for a better word.
You do feel happy. There's some cortisol and
feel happy.
You know,
a better word than that. But that's the kind of thing. It induces a sense of well-being.
Yes.
And but some people say, and that THC also impairs your coordination sometimes. It impairs your balance sometimes. It could increase the risk of perhaps you falling down or having an accident. Yes, I'm serious. I'm being very serious.
No, I know, but it's just laughable though.
They say it, but it's not true. They say it, but it's not true.
Well.
Even the motor skills, it's not that there's no problem with these motor skills.
Well, I'm not
research.
to that. I'm not referred to that. I'm not. I mean, look.
No, but
if you put it this way. In the dispensary, you're in the States. If you go to a dispensary in New York and you purchase marijuana, on the packet it will tell you not to operate machinery.
Yes.
Now that's where I'm referring to this issue of perhaps an impaired concentration, impaired coordination, impaired balance, right? Because at the end of the day, the THC is something that is mind altering. And I said this to you very, very earlier on in the conversation. It's mind altering. We can disagree with it if we like, but what we need to accept is that if you take something and it gives you a greater sense of well-being, of euphoria, it reduces your stress, it reduces anxiety, it promotes relaxation, it stimulates appetite, it impairs coordination. All these things are in the mind. All these things are the mind, though. That's where it is, it's in the mind. So it's mind altering. Not like if you take the CBD on its own, like you took it as to relieve your pain and all this kind of stuff. Perhaps you were anxious after the operation and blah, blah, blah. And so you slept like a baby.
I wasn't anxious. I was just in a lot of pain.
Well, it relieved your pain and made you sleep.
It does. It blocks all those sensories or senses or whatever they call those things. And then again, like you said, that's why I agree with you when you say you agree what you're saying, even though that phrase carries a certain
Stigma with it.
Exactly,
There's a negative stigma with it. The mind altering.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You see, because back then the idea was that mind altering, so that's how they could easily convince people that, oh, this guy smoked ganja and decided to go stab somebody to death or something stupid like that, and slingers bullshit, excuse my French, from back then and all of that. This is how they were able to push that agenda. It's mind altering. It can actually make you do something you're not even aware of. It's the connotation I think it was carrying, But anyways, gentlemen, thank you so much. We only have like 15 more minutes to go. Is there anything in particular you want to share, Nana? Let's start with you, Nana. I know there's a whole lot.
I think it's a very interesting discussion, and here in Ghana, we're not as fast forward as the rest of the world, not just on this issue, but on a lot of things. And I think culturally, that has also held us back as well, because we hold fast to a number of cultural assumptions about smoking marijuana in particular, and it's blinkered our view, so that we can't see that, look, this isn't the only aspect of marijuana as such. The whole thing about the medicinal is not discussed at all. You have Rick Simpson's oil, which you get from marijuana, which cures cancer. People not talking about that. The marijuana cures glaucoma. It cures AHD. Parkinson's disease. It does so many things, but the discussion always is centered on smoke. Because culturally, that's that is the type of myopic view that we have here in Ghana. I mean, look, Kex raised an important point about the people who come in from abroad, the expatriates. They come in with their medical marijuana card, and they come in with their marijuana. And even though there may be something written down, or you could go to the health ministry and get something that blah, blah, blah. How many doctors in Ghana know how to prescribe marijuana? How many? There are no doctors in Ghana who are familiar with prescribing marijuana. There's none. Because they are all of the same ilk. They all subscribe to the negatives of marijuana. They all only see marijuana in terms of smoking. That's all they'll say. Look, we've got lab technicians here. How many? We have all these various laboratories and all that here. None of them have done any research on marijuana. Not one. None of them have done any research on even industrial hemp. Not one. They're there working on synthetic tablets and stuff like that. Not working on anything like that. They have no idea. Because they're governed by the cultural norms that categorize marijuana or the cannabis plant in a way that is 100% negative. And they can't see the wood for the trees, despite the fact that many countries across the globe are making enormous strides with cannabis. You only have to just cross from Egypt and go into Israel there. They are leaders when it comes to cannabis research.
Yes.
I suffer from asthma, so I have one of those inhalers. And I've been trying to get an inhaler from Israel for about 3 years now, because they fill their inhaler with the flowers from the marijuana. So when you take that puff, it's marijuana. It's pure marijuana you get. Pure marijuana. How many doctors know about that in Ghana? None. None.
Believe me, a lot of doctors know about it, but because of all the stuff we've been discussing for the past hour and a half, it becomes not a very straightforward thing,
They can't prescribe it. If they go to, and even if you say you can prescribe it, where are you going to get the marijuana from?
Exactly.
Where are you going to get it from? Here in Ghana. We don't do soil tests. People are using pesticide and all that kind of stuff. You can't prescribe marijuana that the source of it can't be verified.
The systems are just not in place for the industry.
As safe. Yeah, you can't. So all that talk, go to the health ministry, and it's just talk. Because nobody in here grows marijuana that can be given a certificate that is 100% safe, 100% organic. Nowhere in the country. Nowhere. Nowhere. Let's just talk.
Kex.
Those people have to get their marijuana sent to them from Europe or the USA. Period. Period.
Kex, chip in quick before we before we go. There are some headlines from the Hard News, the ganja farmer section that I want us to quickly look at. We don't have time to go in depth, but I'll just read some headlines and maybe you can react quickly on them. Kex can maybe give a quick chip in before we go. But Kex, do you have anything to say? Anything we didn't touch on that you want to add before we round up?
What I want to say is that Ghana is going to, we may do before we realize the people have made much money out of this thing already, and then now we'll be importing things from other countries concerning this issue. So we should try and the Ghanaians should try and wake up so that everybody will be bold enough. We put aside opinions and face the facts, so that we can get this thing through, so that we can also start to make some money out of Ghana to help the economy.
Nice.
Give thanks.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Nana. So Hard News. First of all, the Hard News. Where is it published? Is it published online?
Published online.
Okay.
Can
you share the link with us so that we can direct people to go there and go check it out?
You're speaking to the link.
I'm sorry.
You are speaking to the link.
The link. Oh no, I mean where we can access Hard News. Like, say, is it on a .com?
You can go on our website. We have a website that
Empire Association of Ghana.com.
No. Empireagri.com.
Empireagri.com. HEMPIREAGRI.com.
You put a C there, then
Agric.
Agric, yeah.
Okay, so empireagric.com.
Yeah, then you also have we also have the Hemp Association of Ghana.com, but I think you should really stick to
empireagric.com.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't want us to use the name. So
okay, all right.
GRGD, they were
all right. So I'm just going to read some headlines from. We have only 8 minutes left. I'm just going to read some headlines from the Hard News, and then after I'm done, you choose which headlines you want to react to in a minute or two, and Kex, you do the same before we go. The first one says cannabis will increase Ghana's carbon credit. The next one says cross the bridge. And I think this is in reference to, you tell us about that, Nana. It says cross the bridge. This one says, if you know, you know. This one says, one district, no factory. This one says, police, be bold and stand your ground. This one says, cannabis, the healing alternative to alcohol. This one says, delinquent minds and wicked hearts. This says, it's time to break the deficit. And that's what I have here for now. Nana, which of these headlines stands out for you more that you want to react to?
The one district, no factory. I'll tell you a story.
Yes.
I'll tell you a story about that. Because Empire Agri Ghana, we're a part of the one district, one factory. We've been approved by the Trade and Industry Ministry as one district, one factory. But of course, we can't produce any factory because we don't have a license. But anyway, we saw a factory in the Volta region called the Volta Star Textile Factory. And so we went there, we met with the CEO, we toured the place, quite a big land, 100 acres or so, quite a big factory. And basically the factory used to employ like 3,000 plus people. It was built in Nkrumah's time, and the machines are there to prove it, because those machines are as old as Nkrumah as well. It's not a competitive factory because machines have moved on by now. There's 3,000 people are no more employed in there, probably about 100 people. And so we went and we met with the former Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Cheramanti, and we had in our possession a report from Coopers and Lybrand, which said like 7 years ago, government were putting the factory up for sale. And basically the Chinese applied, some other people applied, some other people applied. The Chinese won the bid. They said they would pay 9 million for the factory. All the paperwork was done and everything. And then there was a no-show by the Chinese. So we went armed with this report and we said, okay, it's 2022 now. The machines are still as old as sin. No one works there. You've got an electricity bill of $2 million US. You still owe the landlord for the land, etc., etc., etc. We'll give you 5 million and take over the factory and give government perhaps 10% stake. The honourable minister, because he was the minister at the time, told us that if we didn't give him 20 million US dollars, we wouldn't have a deal. And so the factory is still there in the same way that I described it to you just a couple minutes ago.
Oh, God.
So that's one district, no factory.
No factory. Wait, so you were ready to pay $5 million for this facility?
We were working with KPMG. KPMG were working on the feasibility study. Even to replace the machines were 80 million. But you see, we were going to.
What were you going to produce? Were you going to produce something different, or you were going to use it for Empire's operations?
Hemp textile.
Hemp textile. Wow.
Hemp makes clothes.
Yo, listen, man.
Yeah, hemp makes clothes.
And the minister said if you didn't have $20 million, he wasn't going to talk. Meanwhile, they were going to sell it to the Chinese for $9 million.
Precisely.
We are one sick people. I hate to say it, but we have to admit. Anyhow, is there another topic you wanted to touch quickly before we go? Actually, it's just 3 minutes left. Let's give
on the carbon credit.
Yeah.
You know, there's a mad rush to countries like Ghana, where people are coming now. The Europeans are coming over, and they're saying, "Look, cultivate this, cultivate that, cultivate this, and we will pay you for carbon sequestration." Yeah. Now, basically, in January of this year, Ghana was paid $4.5 billion for carbon sequestration. Now, that was in the form of ensuring that cocoa farmers didn't expand their farms any further, so there was no deforestation, and also encouraging people living in the rural areas to not to cook outside. Yeah, so they were successful in it to a 4.5 million. People are rushing to our countries to pay us pittance, because that 4.5 million is pittance, because they pay $10 a ton for the carbon that you sequestrate, right? And basically, the reason why they're coming to do that and pay us money to grow particular crops that will absorb the carbon is because they're not doing it in their countries, and they need the carbon credit in order to show that, to knock off the deficit from what they are continuing to do, which is basically destroy the planet. So it's very, very interesting, very, very interesting, this carbon credit stuff. And you see, the thing with industrial hemp is that it absorbs carbon like nobody's business. Nobody's business. You see, and even if you made hempcrete out of the hemp and constructed houses, those houses would forever absorb carbon. You see, so there's a lot of things going on.
Wow.
There's a lot.
This you see, marijuana, ganja, cannabis, whatever, it's something that's very everyday and basic and everything, but the discussion around it is so intellectual. It's very, very, and it's so nuanced. You really have to be, have your head screwed on to follow the discussion. There's so many different elements to it that we need to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Before I go, there's the issue of Alamse and the land that has been poisoned and the water that has been poisoned. When you cultivate hemp, industrial hemp, on the lands that have been poisoned, it will absorb the mercury. It will absorb it. You'll be able to reclaim the land after a couple of years. And at the same time, when you harvest the industrial hemp, you can use it industrially and still make money. And it's the same with our water bodies. When you start cultivating hemp in the water bodies and on the banks of those water bodies, you will eventually clean up the water bodies. And when you harvest, you can use the hemp industrially and still make money.
Something for the politicians to consider, especially at this time in Ghana where we are facing so much destruction of our vegetative cover. Kex, last words before we go on those topics we just mentioned. Do you have any that you comment on?
Say about the politicians. They say lobbying is one of the key instruments in this process, and it's everywhere in the world. Even the Western countries, people lobby and politicians take money, and politicians would like to see what the personal benefit is that they will get from whatever they are going to approve, and those things that will entice them, So no matter what, we need to keep lobbying and hope say things will go through safely. Otherwise, Ghana is really, really late. That's what I can say. Ghana is late.
Thank you. Wow. And how time flies. This has been 2 solid hours and change of some serious reasoning. Thank you very much, Nana Ajiman, President of the Empire Association of Ghana, a man I respect very much for his in-depth knowledge, and not just in-depth knowledge. He's also somebody that I respect as a senior brother. His workflow when it comes to ethics on whatever he does is unsurpassable. And also thank you, President Kekspongo, Chairman of the Advocacy Committee, Rastafari Council Ghana, another big brother of mine, a man whose house I have had many lunches and dinners in, and whose chalice I've also shared from time to time. Thank you very much, brethren. And we will pick up this discussion again. We know we haven't even scratched the surface. As we go along, whatever comes up, this is your home. We will come again and again and again and share what we have with the bigger population. Thank you very much, brethren.
Thank you for the
I love to kiss on you. Them did find it growing pumpkin salad and I put them judge you, but them never even try to for them say.
Yes, indeed. Before I sign out, I have 3 songs I need you to listen to. 2 of them are from Kwame Patan and 1 of them is from Jabilaba. The first one is called Papakuti Hewa.
Fire blister. Whoa, fire blister. Whoa, fire blister. Rousey, where did the light turn up? Louder, Papa Kuti. Jamais out of the shimmy ganja. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Missy Papa Kuti. Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. I saw that for tutu. In a digger, this man no Kuti. Ever blazing. I'm chanting Emperor Selassie. I Rastafari. You man know well, we say Coco. You just me. Babylon put my door under arrest. You say what? Cause we can't have this no, yo. Get to you to say me name to be my Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Missy Papa Kuti. Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Simuni madia mumbani shawo mubu adamu okay. Simuni madia mumbani shawo mubu adamu okay. Simuni madia ngolani shawo mubu tuonu okay. Oh no, Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Missy Papa Kuti. Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja.
Sons of Kwame Pata, and they call it Papa Kuti.
Jame haona mishemi ganja.
Free up the herb.
If you bro, I know them are rastanya go bro. Me kana want to see about me too.
Hey.
Only beam, I know them my fans jaya na jusu. Hey. As a radio woka usuro.
Kwame.
Was a so you know a generation so da. Tampik a crown about the chodi chiga.
What?
We didn't put more time for betting in so basabasa. Kinsela sikwan oyo hine wati. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja. Papa Kuti. Papa Kuti. Jame haona mishemi ganja.
Kwame Pata and Offerway Papa Kuti. Let's check this one to cause this one on Manyi. Same subject.
Yeah. Kwame Pata yeah. Louder. Se mi fie juma be du fie na se me chechere to tsunami ni oja jumu na se mi twitwi moa efele aire na se ni o mango e na se me chechere to tsunami ni oja jumu na se mi twitwi moa efele aire ganja nice aposi posi a crime habaya yo nakupon design ema me feel so divine mashi share na me te me mantra na me king kind homa ema me feel cool ema me feel calm ema me you na nyansa say hey Mr. Officer identify na hamisa me krimu ba ko pena handcuff kumisa se mi fie juma be du fie na se me chechere to tsunami di oja jumu na se mi twitwi moa te feel aire na senyo mango ye na se me chechere to tsunami di oja jumu na se mi twitwi moa me feel aire ganjanti embrate baby fiasi monkresi sistema ekosu wo wiasi ye papa weni swaji usika bo ukwedu achirama sanse una waye di obi ye bida apio ni joti ni dia yenwi wu ahaba impanya mi aboni dia yenwi kana yentungu mumbo meni tsunami sintu mumba koso mi sana meni wu bifye juma be yufe na se me chechere to tsunami ni oja juma na se mi kwa te fili aire na senyo mango ye na se me chechere to tsunami ni oja jumu na se me twitwi moa me feel aire ganja nice Force a crime, Habaya, your Yankupon design, Emma me feel so divine.
Emma me feel so divine. Sons of Kwame Patan. That makes two. This is the last song, and I'm out of here like light. This one from Jah Beloved. Call this one Mary Juju. Love you, Mary. Money showing every time. Follow me. Let me bring it everywhere. Oh yeah. Why they fight you now? All right.
Officer, officer, I just smoke it to elevate my mind. I just smoke it to deal with the hustle and the grind. I just smoke it to cope with the times.
That song is on the
Reggae culture, it's reggae dance, reggae culture. And yeah, the evening as you put me to bed. Yo, every day we are born it, sometimes we are on it, enough times we are done it, and when it's fresh, we are so long. They say over the hill, the farmer man are growing, and up there in a mponya, them and them a bag it. Don't get in a aveno, or cookie a buy it. After the streets, you play cards, and man about it. Reggae culture, it's reggae dance, reggae culture. Them did find it growing back inside one in grave. How could them judge you what them never did try for them say? Reggae culture, it's reggae dance.
Yes, indeed. The Mary Juju Sons of Jah Beloved, yours truly. And I give thanks once again for my guest for today, Nana Ajiman, President, Empire Association of Ghana. And also President Kex, Chairman of the Advocacy Committee, Rastafari Council. Thank you for doing the listening and watching. If you did so on social media, and remember, keep it locked on Radio Culture. When we don't have educative stuff like this going on, what we have is some serious reggae music, high life music, hip hop music, jazz music, all type of black music going on Radio Culture. I'm inviting you to tune in every now and then and see what's playing. We are the home of African or Ghana reggae dancehall. So all your reggae dancehall artists, you want to hear them tune? Yes, I there. Reggae and dancehall on Radio Culture. My name is Jah Beloved, yours truly. I did sit in for this one, Groundation. Catch me tomorrow on Reggae Reverbs when we bring you the Kenyan artist called Stoneface Priest. Till such times, as usual, 1 2 1 2 click clack, and I'm out like a light.
Whoa, other fire.